A very good afternoon to all the participants. Hello, am I audible to you all? Hello.
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Uh,
Yes,
yes, okay. A very good afternoon to everyone. I first would like to request all the participants to mute yourself and, if possible, keep your video on if you are okay with that. I repeat again, I'd like to request all the participants to mute yourself and keep your video on if you are okay with that. Thank you. So, I, Dr. Meenakshi Das, on behalf of the organizing committee of National Webinar on Philosophy, would like to welcome you all to this national webinar on philosophy organized by the Department of Philosophy, North Kamrup College, in collaboration with IQAC North Kamrup College. We are very happy that we have an ample numbers of participants with us from various parts of Northeast and also from India. So I would like to again welcome you all to this session. We are very happy and glad that we have amongst us Dr. Ananya Barua, Assistant Professor in the Department of Philosophy, Hindu College, and to enlighten us with her lecture on Prakriti versus Sanskriti, a take on philosophy of culture. So I also would like to welcome you, ma'am. So before going to start the session, I would like to request Dr. Jyotiras Pathak, Principal, North Kamrup College, to offer his welcome address. Thank you, sir.
yes. Thank you, Dr. Das. On behalf of the North Kamrup College, Baghmara, Assam, I welcome all of you, respected resource person, Dr. Ananya Barua from Hindu College, Delhi, and the other participants from various colleges of Assam. Uh, Let me introduce the college. Just few lines. This North Kamrup College is a rural-based college, which is there in the newly uh, created district called Bozali in Lower Assam. We have already crossed 4 decades of our existence, and last time we got B plus grade from NET, and and because of, as you know, because of this whole last year we lost a whole academic year because of this pandemic, and still the second wave, the news are coming that the second wave is coming. So let us take the opportunity of this say partly uh, shutdown or say lockdown. So it's a good opportunity that we can meet of our online mode, and just to start that again this online mode, we have started this webinar, and in the next coming 2 months we'll be having a series of say webinars from each and every department of our college, and there are just 8 departments in our college. uh, so this is the first of this series, which is being conducted by the HOD of philosophy with the able guidance of Dr. Meenakshi Das. I am quite thankful to her that she has introduced the uh, webinar series, and today I am sure that with this resource person, I think almost all the people who are belonging to that very discipline called philosophy, they know about Dr. Ananya Barua. She is widely visiting over online. Almost lots of colleges and universities she already visited with her lecture. And I do hope that all the participants will be greatly benefited from this very theme. Although I had no idea about the theme, I just know something about say culture, and as I just said that without culture we just cannot live. So I'll not go elaborate into that since I have no idea, and it's all about the resource person that she will be delivering her speech, and I do hope that all the participants will be they will participate actively, and after her lecture there will be a interaction with her among ourselves, and if any confusion I do hope that will clear our confusion about this very topic after the end of her deliberation. And with these few words, I again welcome the resource person and all the participants to this online lecture series. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your inspiring
Welcome.
words. Thank you so much once again, sir.
Welcome.
Yeah. Now, I would like to introduce the speaker, Dr. Ananya Barua, to you all. Actually, it is my privilege to welcome and introduce Dr. Barua to you all, the first Assamese woman to be appointed as a permanent faculty at the very prestigious college of our country, that is the Hindu College. Dr. Barua completed her matriculation from St. Margaret's Convent, Shillong, Meghalaya, and then she has done her graduation from IP College, Delhi University. Then Dr. Barua has completed her master's from Hyderabad Central University, and then PhD from JNU in 2012. Dr. Barua became permanent faculty at the Department of Philosophy at Hindu College under the University of Delhi on January 12, 2011. She has many awards in her name. The list is very long, but I just want to mention a few. She has been awarded the Travel Grants UGC for the academic year 2019-20 to present her paper on Musings of a Mystic with special reference to Rumi at the University of Lucerne, Switzerland. She was nominated by the Ministry of HRD Government of India as one of the nominees for Commonwealth Scholarship for the Split Sides PhD coursework in UK. She is the gold medalist from the Hyderabad Central University for topping in the MA examination in the year 2004 and 5. Apart from these, Dr. Barua has various awards in her name, but due to time restriction, I have mentioned a few. Dr. Barua also has published two books, that is Epistemology and Applied Ethics by APH Publication Corporation, New Delhi. Then Mental Content, Phenomenal or Intentional Problems of Philosophy of Mind by Mittal Publications, New Delhi. Along with these, Dr. Barua also has published book chapters in various edited volumes. Apart from this, Dr. Barua has published various articles in national and international journals, including articles like From Subjectivity to Intersubjectivity, with special reference to Mukha Bhavna of Ahom, published in the Expression, an international journal of social sciences. Along with this, Dr. Barua has got lots of publications with special reference to Northeast India. I'd like to read out the title of one of her article published in UGC Care Journal, that is The Story of Textile, the Red and White Velvet Cake, Gamusa in Short. Actually, I like the title so much, that's why I read out the title. Then, thus, apart from the philosophical work, Dr. Barua has addressed various issues related to Northeast India, and thus she has around 17 articles published in various journals. Dr. Barua has 8 newspaper articles in her name. Very importantly, Dr. Barua has been guiding 6 research scholars for their MPhil and PhD work. Dr. Barua has participated and presented in more than 27 conferences, both in national and international level. She has been invited as resource person in more than 11 events in the country. She has also been involved as a principal research investigator in various projects funded by various government agencies. Dr. Barua has been performing various administrative roles in the Delhi University, including organizing the Northeast Festival in Hindu College. Thus, she has been involved in around a 14 administrative role in her college. Dr. Barua has attended more than 42 online programs, including certificate program from the University of Harvard. Last but not the least, Dr. Barua also own a YouTube channel on Northeast region, that is on philosophy, tribal studies, feminism, Indian philosophy to Greek philosophy, environmental studies, cultural studies, mythology, etc. Her research interests includes the areas like Indian philosophy, Greek philosophy, applied ethics, philosophy of mind, Western philosophy of religion, philosophy of food, philosophy of sports, philosophy of technology, phenomenology, analytic philosophy, feminism, environmental studies, tribal studies, philosophy of culture, with special reference to Northeast studies. This is about Dr. Barua in brief. Now, ma'am, we are very happy and glad to have you amongst us. And now I'd like to request you kindly to grace the occasion with your valuable lecture. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Das. Before I begin, I would like to start with a small prayer. Om Asatuma Sadgamaya Tamasuma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I am feeling humbled with this long introduction, Dr. Das, that you have mentioned, and a little embarrassed too, for you. You didn't really had to spell out so much, but nevertheless, thank you so much, especially to North Kamrup College, the IQAC Center, and the Department of Philosophy, North Kamrup College Baghmara, for inviting me to present my deliberations on a topic which is close to my heart, which is Prakriti versus Sanskriti, a take on philosophy of culture. Before I begin, I think the Assamese soul that I am, I need to address 2 minutes in Assamese, if that's allowed. So, Bihu being round the corner, Principal Sir, Apunak Shraddha Aro Shubhechha Jonaiso Atai Loi, because there are certain things when emoted in our mother tongue carries the value more than I think in a language like English. So I did take this liberty since my theme is on culture. Well, to begin with, I see a lot of my own Hindu college students here. I'm glad that they have all come and are attending, and a lot of other known faces too. Thank you so much. Today, the theme that I am presenting on is basically in the area of philosophy of culture. And philosophy of culture, just like the numerous subdisciplines of philosophy, like philosophy of mind, ethics, epistemology, is also one of the sub-themes of philosophy. And hailing from Northeast, you cannot not know, not know your culture. So that's how my interest, and basically being from Shillong and being literally raised with the various indigenous tribes, I think there was always a connect. Now, the first thing is, when we talk about philosophy of culture, the word culture, which again is a very in Sanskrit we call it as the Prakrit versus Sanskrit debate, and when we use the word Prakrit or Prakriti, this very coinage or this very concept was floated by the Sankhya philosophy of the Astika. We do have, again, Indian philosophy is divided primarily into Astika and Nastika. Astika school are those who believes in the authority of the Vedas. Nastika are those who does not believe in the authority of the Vedas. Can you just give me 2 minutes, please, if that's permitted? There's just someone at the door. Just 2 minutes, please.
It's okay.
Yeah, sorry, apologies for that. Now, Indian philosophy is broadly divided into the Astika and the Nastika. And Astika are those who believes in the authority of the Vedas, not necessarily God as popularly understood, but someone who believes in the authority of the Vedas. Nastika are those who does not believe in the authority of the Vedas. Popularly, the Sankhya philosophy is one of the Nastika schools. And we it's one of the Astika schools. And when we talk about a lot of issues, the sage Kapila, who is the founder of Sankhya philosophy, crops up. And two very important concepts, Prakriti and Purusha, is very much there in Sankhya philosophy. Purusha is the unproduced supreme spirit, not necessarily the gendered Purush, okay, that we usually understand. And Prakriti, on the other hand, is metta, or that igniting factor that kind of allures Purusha to kind of come in contact and evolution happens. So that's basically the matter and mind in the Indian tradition of Sankhya philosophy. The second important concept about the Sankhya philosophy is its notion of dualism or dualistic. It is dual because it has faith or trust on both Purusha and Prakriti. So Purusha and Prakriti exists in parallel domains, and there is no such interference, or neither is Purusha superior to Prakriti nor is Prakriti superior. They themselves perform their act, whatever they're supposed to perform. And as a footnote, I would like to address here that this is where they differ. Sankhya philosophy differs from the concept of dualism in the Western philosophy of René Descartes. René Descartes, as we know, is the father of modern philosophy. However, in the West, mind was considered more important than matter. That's why René Descartes comes up with the conviction of from dubito ergo sum to cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. So extensa or matter in the Western philosophy was considered derogatory, or was rather given a second-class treatment. That is not really the case in Indian philosophy. Indian philosophy, both Purusha and Prakriti continues their job without much interference, and both are. So there is a dualism, it's a difference, unlike the dualism of Western philosophy, which I really wanted to mention at the very onset. Now, the second thing which is very important in the philosophy of Sankhya is the concept of triguna, or the three qualities. By triguna, we usually refer to the tamasika guna, the sattvika guna, and the rajasika guna. Mr. Bo, if you can mute yourself, it would be very kind of you. Thank you so much. So Sattvika Guna is something which is to do with goodness, compassion, positivity, anything which is positive, right? That's Sattvika Guna. On the other hand, Tamasika Guna is that which is the antithesis of Sattvika. So it deals with darkness, ignorance, dullness, lethargy, and so on and so forth. So the color white is attributed to Sattvika, and the color black is connoted to Tamasika. Now, in between Tamasika and Rajasika is the guna called, in between Tamasika and Sattvika is the guna called the Rajasika. Rajasika is the activator, or Rajasika guna is that guna which stands for the color red. So Rajasika, in a way, kind of activates one to be either Sattvika or Tamasika, as the case may be. Giving an example of Sankhya philosophy here, nature. So nature primarily has the Sattvika guna in her, the Tamasika guna in her, after all she is matter, and of course the Rajasika guna. And one of the very important reasons why nature is similarized with feminine energy is because just like the feminine moods, which can oscillate from being Sattvika when she becomes Ma Annapurna, or nurturer, or Sati Savitri, to when provoked to, she could easily be a Kali or goddess Durga, Tamasika. And that's how even nature is. As much as nature is nourishing, nature is a nurturer. When provoked to, nature could also be Prakriti, could also be Tamasic. And whatever we are seeing today is thanks to our own human action, our own Rajasika-ness, that we have gone beyond the need versus greed domain. We couldn't really draw the line where to use Prakriti and went on in misusing, rather abusing Prakriti. So much so that she is now giving it back to us. In fact, the present pandemic, if you do remember, last year, I think during May, June, at the peak of lockdown, if you did read the newspaper, the reports had come how good the quality of the air and everything had become, especially in a place like Delhi NCR. We do know the toxicity that the air, environment carries. So it is like Prakriti now having her last laugh that humans, you had abused me enough. Now, whenever you walk out, I make it sure that you can only experience me via a mask. I am no longer freely available to you, for I did that for eons, and I have seen how for granted I was taken. I have seen how heavily I was abused. Now was the time for me. Me here means Prakriti, to kind of take things back to my domain. That's Prakriti, right? Now, when we talk about Sanskriti, so Sanskriti is to do with culture. Sanskriti is something which is very man-made. So if Prakriti is wild, Sanskriti is very civil, very man-made. In this context, I would like to talk, bring the political philosopher Rousseau. I'm sure we all have heard about Rousseau. Just like Rousseau, we also have John Locke, Thomas Hobbes, and many such other thinkers. Now, Rousseau, in his social contract theory, had elaborated about how, for him, man is born free but is everywhere in chains, and these chains are not, innate. These chains are the external chains. So this change varies from being political, from being social, from being economic, to ideological, to whatsoever. So these are the external chains. So which means that for Rousseau, man, in his natural essence, okay, is he in the state of nature is free, wise, and good. But when he enters into the state, from the state of nature to something called culture or society, there are chains around him. Does that mean then that Prakriti and Sanskriti are divorced from each other, or does that mean that nature and culture are two different domains? It is here why I had entitled my paper as Sanskriti versus Prakriti, a take on philosophy of culture. For my attempt is to show that as much there might seem to be differences, but those are only apparent differences. Sanskriti and Prakriti are, after all, two sides of the same coin. To elaborate this, I would definitely be taking up our festival Bihu, since that's around the corner. So Bihu, as we all again know, is derived from the Sanskrit word Vishu, and Vishu, by the way, is exactly, in similar connotation, a festival which is celebrated down south. But in Assamese, as we all know, we do not have the alphabet, Va, so it becomes Ba, Bihu. So Vishu becomes Bihu. Now, if we pick up any any cultural traits of Sanskriti, what do we see? We see one common feature, and that is most of them are nature-based. Harvesting, feasting, these are all nature-based, which means that our Sanskriti is, after all, a part of Prakriti. For nature is Prakriti. So when we talk about Bihu, Bihu is of how many kinds? 3, 4, 10? 3 bihu. For some jovial Assamese soul, every day is a bihu. But ideally, we take conceptually bihu to be of 3 kinds, starting from Rongali bihu, right, which is our new year, which is also very similar to Poila Boishakh of Bengal, and many such similar connotations are given. Secondly, we have Kongali bihu, and thirdly, we have something called Bhogali bihu. Now, what is the significance of these 3 bihus? I would be connecting them with philosophy of culture. Bihu, which is Rongali bihu, as the very name suggests, wrong. Wrong is color. So, and that's the episode, or that's the season where, you know, the trees are in full bloom, everyone is happy. And we also have this element called bihuan, which is kind of a respect which we give to our seniors in the form of our, you know, as I popularly call the gamusa, the red velvet cake. You know, that's how we give our bihuan. And when we do that, what are we actually doing? That's our new year. Yes, we are doing what our principles have been, something which we have seen when we were growing up. Now, that is what dharma is. For the word dharma is derived from the Sanskrit word dhri, and dhri is to hold. So, to hold on to one's principles is dharma. And that's why most of the languages of India, the mother language being Sanskrit, we use the word dhara in Assamese or dhoro in Bengali, which basically means to hold. So to hold on to the principles which you know that we had seen while growing up is our dharma. So seeing that bihuan is so beautifully packed, and thanks to my Shillong upbringing, I have seen packages swelling from, you know, my aunt's place, 32 KB Road, Jorhat, which is one of the address that will come, you know, in those memoirs that I so strongly remember, and couriers going from Shillong to Jorhat to Guwahati and to my other kith and kin. That's how exchanges happen, and this is what we grew up seeing, and this is what we continue to hold on today. That's the first purushartha, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. We know there are 4 principles. So the first one, dharma, is projected, is displayed by the Bhogali or the Rongali Bihu in the new year. Now let's come to Kongali Bihu. Many people tell me that we are not supposed to wish Kongali Bihu. For Kongali, or for my non-Assamese friends, it would in Hindi be Kangali, okay? Where one is literally broke, where the granaries go dry, where the bhoral, right, in Assamese, the bhoral, you don't have any harvesting, no paddy, no nothing. So that's the phase of Kongali. Again, that's nature-based harvesting, right? That's nature-based. What is so important about Kongali Bihu and philosophy of culture? The second Purushartha, which is Artha. What is Artha? Resources, economic good. So as much as we celebrate Dharma in the form of Rongali Bihu, we celebrate also the stage or the phase when there is nothingness, when we are broke. For in philosophy, we are trained that samsara and nirvana, 2 sides of the same coin, which in layman's language means as much as we celebrate fullness, Rongali Bihu is fullness, we should also celebrate emptiness. For fullness and emptiness only makes life complete. So our Kongali Bihu has taught us that do not be afraid, do not be scared of an empty bhoral, because there is emptiness. What do we usually do? One of the performatory acts of Kongali Bihu is to lit an earthen lamp beneath the tulsi plant. That's a performatory act, right? Why do we do that? Tulsi is again considered to be the one of the avatars of Vishnu, popularly. And earthen lamp, what is the significance of earthen lamp? Earthen lamp, the Panchabhuta elements of nature, earth, so the lamp is made of earthen, fire element, we lit the lamp, the wick, the earth element, air, because obviously it goes up there, vaporizes, and ether. So the Panchabhuta element, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, is so very well soaked by our performatory act of lighting the earthen diya. To whom? To Lord Vishnu, Tulsi, one of his many avatars. And why Lord Vishnu? For Lord Vishnu is a householder. And who stays with Lord Vishnu? Goddess Lakshmi. So wherever Goddess, Lord Vishnu is happy, Goddess Lakshmi will follow. So wherever the Kongal stage is there, we are inviting Goddess Lakshmi along with Vishnu to come and bless us. So our philosophy has taught us, especially Indian philosophy, has taught us that as much as there is this brighter side of thing, there will also be this darker side of thing. Our gaze or our only point of focus should not necessarily be always on achievement, success. Our gaze also should be on our failures. Only when we know where our lacuna is, only when we know where our demerit is, only then can we again rise, isn't it? That's the reason why Artha, Dharma, Artha, the second Purushartha, the importance of Artha is displayed via the festival, the second one, which is Kongali Bihu. Now, let's come to almost everyone's favorite, Bhogali Bihu, Bhog, right? Bhogali Bihu or Magh Bihu, because it falls on the month of Magh, as the very, again, name suggests, everyone is a bhogi there. Who is a bhogi? We all are bhogi. We all love to be fed. But here, feeding is not just the physical appetite. Feeding is also the thoughts that you choose to take, the vibrations that you choose to take. So when we talk about food, bhogali, it is not just pitha and laru and sira and jolpan. It's way beyond that. And that's where the third purushartha, kama in the very narrow sense means only physical gratification. However, in the broader sense, kama means anything that delights your soul. It could be listening to some very good music, your earbuds are getting activated. It could be seeing a beautiful painting, your eyes are getting activated. It could be smelling some fragrant roses, nose, and of course having sira, pithal, jolpan, right? The taste buds. So that's kama, dharma, artha, kama, the three bihus. Then what about moksha? Where do moksha fit in? The concept of moksha or salvation is something which is so very interesting. For moksha is not necessarily the domain of, say, someone, a sannyasa who has kind of given up everything and going to the Himalayas and meditating. No, not really. We do know we have the brahmacharya, the stage of studenthood, right? The grihasthya, the stage of householder. The third is vanaprastha, someone who goes to the vana. Vana is forest, prastha is walking, but in today's time, forget about vana. We really need to find where a vana is, thanks to deforestation and thanks to global warming. So vanaprastha for us would be retirement, the stage of retirement, and definitely sannyasa. But the stage of sannyasa, again, doesn't mean that, you give up on everything and just, everything is momaya. No, nothing is going to get affected. No, that's wrong. For a hungry man is an angry man. If I ask my 8:50 a.m. students, to attend my 3 hours lecture, I think most of them are here, and they attend my lecture like for 3 hours without having their breakfast. Half of them, I so hear them yawning away to glory or almost droopy, but naturally, right? You are hungry. So you cannot expect them to be really meditating and thinking about moksha. I mean, at least not for a layman. We have to attain to that level of either bodhisattva or the Tirthankara to be in that domain. Since you and I are laymen, so what is moksha for us? And this is where the most favorite part of philosophy of culture of my articulation I'm coming to, which is as much as dharma that I had projected, so dharma basically means principles that you hold on to. So your principles might vary from my principles, which is absolutely okay. For some, holding on to something like I desperately, in a place like Delhi NCR, I try to hold on to the values which I had seen my kith and kin, my cousins, my relatives. That's something which is my very comfort zone. And I try to hold on to that, and in my whatever humble ways, I try to pass it on to my children, or at least I'm trying to. Now, my karma sthan, my karma is my dharma for me. Every time since 2009 that I had been a part of Hindu college, I bow down. I bow down at this gate, whenever I enter my college, because Hindu college has chosen me. That's my temple. So for me, my dharma is my karma, which is displayed via the karma sthan. For me, that's Hindu college. So as I had said, everyone's dharma might differ, and which is absolutely okay. So where does moksha come here? The fourth purushartha. Now, if a little bit of Plato's Republic, those who, or I'm sure you have at least heard about Plato's Republic, there was this picture of the allegory of the cave. And in that cave, one of those prisoners, and so let me just give you a backdrop. In this allegory of the cavemen were always prisoned, okay? Their hands were tied behind, and their face was directed towards the wall. So whatever they could see was only the images that reflected from the threshold of the cave, and that they considered as the real world. Now, one fine day, one of those caged prisoners frees himself and slowly, stealthily goes out. When he goes out of the cave, do you think he would be able to look at the gazing sunshine immediately? No, right? Because his eyes were tuned to darkness, which he thought as the absolute reality. So he firstly looks at the reflection of the shadow of an object. After that, he looks at the shadow of the object. Then he dares to look at the object, say the tree. And finally, he wonders, where is this light coming from, so much? And then he realizes it is from up there, the sun, the solar energy. And he's excited, he's thrilled. It's the eureka moment for him. And he decides, oh my God, I need to go back and enlighten my fellow friends, my cavemen, about what reality is. He goes back with excitement and he says, hey, this world which you thought was the reality, and which I also thought along with you was the reality, is actually a fake world. The real world lies out there. Come with me. They were like, what nonsense. Why is that? Because we only like to believe what we see, not something which, and that's why Plato is an idealist. So this freed prisoner who chooses to come back, see, he became enlightened. He could have just gone wherever, but he comes back to his society, to his village, to his caveman. That is what moksha is. Gautam Buddha too, once he attains enlightenment, he is not someone who would just be like, oh, fine, I have attained enlightenment, that's about it. No, he goes back to the society to give it. So you can attain moksha by being a karmic soul, by being very much into the performatory acts of the society. So where is moksha then in this kind of bihu that I had just elucidated? Moksha is very much a part and parcel of the Rongali bihu when you're doing a dharma. Moksha is also very much a part of Kongali bihu when you are choosing to see the emptiness of life too, as much as you're celebrating the fullness. Moksha too is there. So is moksha a part of your Bhogali bihu when you choose not just to be a yogi. Who is a yogi? One who keeps on meditating, does excellent yoga poses, knows all the secrets of pranayamas and everything. But besides being a yogi, you choose also to be a bhogi. For bhogi and yogi goes hand in hand. So moksha is a culmination, is a process of dharma, artha, kama. Only when you go through all these stages will you attain at moksha. So moksha is not something, oh, I have arrived. Moksha is a process. It is not the destination, it's the process. Now, I'm coming towards the conclusion of my paper, and that is something which I so want all of us to deliberate on, and that is when we talk about Prakriti. So, Prakriti and Sanskriti are not antithesis. For Sanskriti, Utsav, what do we celebrate? We celebrate, after all, Prakriti only, nature only, in various modalities, in various forms. So, the debate between greed versus need, or the debate between self and the other, or the debate between Prakriti, Sanskriti, these are such important debates in philosophy of culture that we have to understand that these are all open-ended. Why open-ended? Because what is, as I had said, dharma for you need not be dharma for me. That is something which is very important. Again, nature or Prakriti is often considered feminine. Because nature is considered feminine, and what is the term for feminine energy? Stree, right? Stree, woman. And by stree, by the way, I just do not mean a gendered, like, biological, anyone who has the creativity instinct. Creativity instinct is a stree. For we have the balance of yin and yang. Yin and yang, I'm sure you do understand. So, as much as women could be stree or are stree, so are men stree in various formats. For example, most of the fathers that we have seen, they are very caring, they're very nurturing. So they are not really, the Purusha that way, they're also Prakriti. And also there are mothers who are very strict. So they're very Purusha-like. So Purusha and Prakriti, it's not gender-based that way. So by Stree, again, is a Sanskrit word, which is derived from Sattvika, Sa, Tamasika, Tra, and Rajasika. So I come back to where I began. The three guna of Sankhya philosophy ends with each one of us who is a Stree. And by Stree, I do not again mean just a mother or a woman or a sister or a daughter or a grandmother or whosoever. A Stree, as much as Prakriti is Stree, so is, some of the fathers who are so very nurturing, who would be up at 3 a.m. to give the, the fever medicines to the children, is also a mother. So Prakriti versus Sanskriti all gets blurred when we bring in the concept of Triguna. And Triguna is fantastic in the sense that we, especially in a society, in the social framework or in Sanskriti, we are usually told to respect the Sattvika Guna, that is, behave in a certain way, talk in a certain way, smile in a certain way. There are those codes of conduct, right? When you are in Sanskriti, and that's what Sanskriti means, code of conduct. But when we go ahead, we also realize that Stree is complete when we also bring its antithesis to the central point, and that's tamasic. So when provoked to, and that's why I say, as much as a woman could be Ma Annapurna, Sati, Savitri, Parvati, she can also be Kali, she can also be Durga. That's why, as much as Mother Nature is nurturing, Mother Nature is giving us her fruits, the trees are giving us her shade, but when provoked to, she can take this ugly roop of pandemic too. So the final lines that I would like to put here is, we need to change our gaze from corona to karuna. As long as there is no compassion, as long as there is no empathy. And what is empathy? Empathy is a step ahead of sympathy. In sympathy, there is always a difference between self and the other, between Sanskriti and Prakriti, between nature and culture. In empathy, the binaries just blur. So we need to move ahead from, something which is dark and sad and oh my god, so not something I would wish for, to only wishing for something good and bright. We should know that as much as we're wishing for good and bright and fullness, what is fullness again? Fullness, for example, in the case of Prakriti, would be the full moon, Purnima. We call it Purnima, right? And wow, today happens to be Amavasya. So Amavasya is the new moon, the dark moon. But is Purnima possible without Amavasya? Amavasya, the moon has to go through Amavasya to be Purnima. And as much as Holi, the festival of Holi, right? Festival of Holi, or most of the religious or dharmic performatory acts happen on certain tithis. Tithis are the lunar calendar. Holi, for example, happens on full moon. But does that mean that Amavasya has to be ignored? No. Dipavali happens on Amavasya. Lord Rama chooses to come back after 14 years of exile on Amavasya. And how can it be Amavasya when Lord Rama himself graces the home? Amavasya Tithi also becomes the Purnima Tithi, that very instance when he chooses to come back. So Amavasya and Purnima are again two sides of the same coin. Purnima, Amavasya again, two sides of the same coin, just like fullness and emptiness are two sides of the same coin, just like Kongali Bihu, Kongal, no? To nothingness, to Bhogal, Bhog, or Bhogi and Yogi are two sides of the same coin. So nature versus culture are not antitheses to each other, but they're two sides of the same coin. So I think it's almost 55 minutes. So I would like to halt my lecture here. Questions, deliberations, engagements are most welcome.
I think there is one question by Anish Chakraborty.
Yes, Anish. Hi, Anish. So, Anish's question is, can we say that the term culture, especially if we understand it from the perspective of Sanskriti, ought to seek its meaning from nature, Prakriti, and its quality of nurture? Yes. Anish, a very good question. I'm thankful for this. And again, Anish is a very dear friend, colleague. So, Anish, as I was mentioning, the debate between nature versus nurture, or self versus other, as much as there are seeming differences between nature versus nurture, but as much as nature is important, nurturing is also important. So as much as Prakriti is important, Sanskriti is also important, because yes, Sanskriti, after all, what does Sanskriti celebrates? Sanskriti celebrates the ethos that are present in Prakriti, nature. Harvesting is nature. Kongali Bihu, where we put the saki or the earthen lamp to Tulsi plant, is again a part of nature. So Sanskriti is not divorced from Prakriti, they are interdependent. Yes, Anish? Shubhan, how can philosophy of culture be used to uplift harmony? Shubhan, philosophy of culture, now this very word culture again means bonhomie. As I had given you the example of we getting those packets from 32 KB Road, Jorhat, from my kith and kin, and similarly packets going from Shillong to Jorhat or to Guwahati to my kith and kin. What was there? We were not physically present, but harmony via post, via courier went, love via post, via courier went. So the very essence of Sanskriti is love, harmony, where we do not have survival of the fittest instinct, Charles Darwin, where we do not have something like, oh my God, I need to win this race or I'll be left back. Here, if I'm left back, there'll be a hand who would pick me up. That's what Sanskriti is. And when someone does that, that's harmony, isn't it? Yeah, Shubhan?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Your example was really nice. Thank you, ma'am, for your insights.
Okay. Are there more questions? Varnali does, thank you, ma'am, for a valuable lecture. Okay, thank you, Varnali. Sanjeev Upadhyay, thank you, ma'am, for nice. Okay, thank you, Sanjeev. Yeah, I don't think there are more questions.
If anyone has any question, then please you can ask, ma'am.
Ma'am, there is another question. Like we see that there are specialization in Western philosophy. You know, the medieval period specialization is also there. The early Greek philosophy specialization is there, and then the modern period philosophers. And we have also the Indian philosophy. We have specialization in also socio-political philosophy, philosophy of religion. Uh, I have not, come across like as such thing with philosophy of culture. Is there any specific reasons for the same, or the scope is not that much, or kind of the scope has not been highlighted?
Yes, Shubhan again. Shubhan again is my first year student. I think. By the way, Shubhan, this is not class, huh, where you keep on asking questions, give others chance to if they have to. I think they just got carried away that Ananya ma'am is giving lectures, so let's continue with that. Well, Shubhan, coming to philosophy of culture, let me tell you. In fact, when I was doing my PhD in philosophy of mind in JNU, that was a very contemporary area. Then I'm talking about 2006-7. So. But then today, philosophy of mind has really gained popularity in the East. I'm talking about in India. It wasn't then before. Similarly, similarly, there are certain areas which haven't got much emphasis, and that's what we are doing by bringing in philosophy of culture, where I have made sure at least one of my research scholar works on that. And similarly, tomorrow, if you are into the academia world, I'll be more than happy if you also can encourage, because that's how it happens, right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Himanshu, acha, someone, Bhogot Tanti. It's very informative, man. Thanks. Thanks, Bhogot. Pallavi Sharma. Thank you so much. Whatever. Thank you, Pallavi Sharma. Bornali, thank you. Anand, thank you. Thank you, Himanshu Das. Thank you so much, ma'am, for fabulously great lecture you gave. Your lecture had a significant impact on every student and teacher. And thank you so much, Himanshu Das, for that. Mukut Kolita, thanks a lot for such a valuable. Thank you, Mukut Kolita. Anish, very interesting blend between nature and human involvement, which it was brought up. Thank you. Yes, Anish. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think uh, there are no. Uh, okay, Gitanjali Bora also wrote.
Okay, there's one more. Okay,
Yeah,
Gitan.
I think there
Can you
is.
some more?
Ah,
Guttumalli Goswami, can you kindly comment on the feminization of Sanskrit in India? Feminization of Sanskriti in India. All right, yeah, I would like to take this up. So, as I was telling you, Gittumali, that the very word Stri, right, is a Sanskrit word which is derived from Sattvika, Tamasic, and Rajasika. But when we come to Sanskriti or culture, the Tamasic and Rajasika are bracketed. The Sattvika are only highlighted. And that's where how, especially if you go to wherever, mostly it is seen that this is how women ought to talk. This is how women ought to behave. This is how a woman ought to laugh. A woman should not laugh loud. So those should not came connoted to the Sattvika, because that's, if you do that, that's supposedly the nicer version of a woman. So does that complete the streeness? Of course not, because as much as she can be nice and fair and welcoming, but when disturbed or triggered, she will also show her form, which is inborn, right? So feminism, I think, definitely comes up in Western philosophy for that, because Rene Descartes comes up with mind and body, and he made body res extensa as the most unwanted part and gave focus to res cogitans. And that's why a lot of feminists had problem, because today, thanks to people like Karuna Kapoor, who made size 0 so very important, or it is the body weight. So even if a man is overtly obese, people are not bothered. But if a woman is, oh my God, all hell breaks loose, because women is supposed to be a body, shape, size, this and that. So that's where feminist philosophers comes up thanks to the dualism that started with René Descartes. And if you read Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex, you would just get a clue of what I'm telling. All right, Gitu Mali, I hope I kind of responded. Gitanjali, thank you for the lecture presentation. Such a thank you so much, Gitanjali. Okay, Akash has a question. How to celebrate the process of moksha through karma? Just your opinion as an academician and expert. You know, Akash, again, Akash is my student. I so see a lot of my students. I'm happy for that though. So Akash, moksha again, it's something which I had said is not the end. It's a process. Because in our philosophy, please understand, means and ends again are two sides of the same coin. Just never see science, right? This is where philosophers differ from scientists. Scientists are always like, okay, moksha, where is it? Proof moksha, or hence proved, or this is it. We are not bothered about that. Our concern is the act of doing it, and that is why Kant's categorical imperative comes up. That act universally, do things where you know that even others are accommodated, and his kingdom of wants and all that. So Kant, be it Kant, Immanuel Kant from the Western philosophy, where he brought in the synthetic a priori, or a lot of our Indian philosophers, you see the concept of moksha so very well taken. So as an academician, as I have said, it's a process. It's as much as I for me personally, I feel if I'm doing my karma diligently, that's enough for me. I'm not really going to weigh the ifs and buts there, but I'm just doing my dharma, karma, which is my dharma, and that's about it. Yeah. Joshita, ma'am, isn't the symbolism of nature as a woman while also using the symbolism in itself paradoxical? Yes, Joshita, as much as there are paradoxes, but if you remember the yin and yang, the picture, I wish I had the picture, as much as yin is, I think, black and white, there are also those tiny, in black, there is a white dot. In white, there is that black dot, which means that they are not oxymoron. A part of yingness is also there in yang. A part of yangness is also there in yin. Okay, Joshita? So they're not, as I say, they are not antitheses. They're two sides of the same coin. Sunu, thank you very much. Thank you, Sunu. Bandana Gugoi, thank you so much, ma'am. It was indeed a great lecture. And to be noted, your accent is fabulous, which, Bandana, thanks to my Shillong convent upbringing, that's about it. Barsha Bhuya, feedback, yeah. I think that's Vishal with magnificent delivery. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
I think question session round is, I think, over now. We should over it. So I'd like to thank Dr. Ananya Barua for explaining the theme, like Prakriti versus Sanskriti, a take on philosophy. I think it is clear to all she tried to say by her lecture, and we are very happy, and we are very we are very lucky that we could get the opportunity to listen to you, Dr. Barua. Thank you so much. Now, I'd like to request Miss Mary Hang Singh, Assistant Professor, North Kamrup College, Department of Philosophy, to offer her vote of thanks. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mary Hang Singh of Philosophy Department, North Kamrup College. Take this opportunity to deliver word of thanks to those who directly and indirectly contributed to this webinar and making this webinar successful. At the outset, I thank our speaker, Dr. Ananya Barua, Assistant Professor, Department of Philosophy, Hindu College. Ma'am, we are really enlightened with your presentation and preparation on the topic Prakriti versus Sanskriti, a take on philosophy of culture. It gives deep insights into the topic and reveals some interesting facts. I am pretty sure that this precious knowledge that Dr. Barwa gave us will definitely help us in our studies and future. Thank you so much, ma'am. And also, I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Jyotiras Pathak, North Kamrup College, Baghmara, for giving us permission and for his enthusiastic support. And my special thanks to Dr. Meenakshi Das. The success of this webinar is because and tireless and sincere effort of Dr. Meenakshi Das, Head Department of Philosophy, who is my senior colleague. And I would like to thank teaching and non-teaching staff of North Kamrup College Baghmara for their support and encouragement. And also we are thankful for all those participants who attended this webinar and appreciated the knowledge shared by our domain expert. And our heartfelt thanks to our students for its active participation. With this warm words and kindnesses, we move to the end of today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'd also like to thank Miss Mary Hang Singh for her cooperation to organize this webinar, and our principal sir, Dr. Zotiras Pathak, and the senior professors that have joined this meeting, Professor Archana Barua from IIT Guwahati and Meenakshi Sharma ma'am from Handic College and other senior philosophy professors. I would like to thank you all for joining this webinar. So thank you all. So now I think we can leave, and I'll be posting the feedback link immediately after this. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm posting the feedback link here. Please fill up the feedback link. And I have already told you, please fill up it correctly. Otherwise, it will be difficult for us to, generate the certificate. I have already posted. I'll also post in the WhatsApp group.